Here's a detailed story based on the teachings of Buddha to inspire readers to overcome laziness and lead a purposeful life. The story of the young farmer and the Buddha. Once, in the serene village of Rajagaha, a young farmer named Nanda struggled with an overwhelming sense of laziness. He would wake up late, ignore his responsibilities, and spend his days idly under the shade of a mango tree. His fields lay barren, his cattle unfed, and his hut in disrepair. Nanda often complained about his misfortune. "Why must I toil so hard when life is fleeting? Surely, the gods will provide for me if I simply enjoy the moment," he would tell himself, justifying his inaction. One day, news spread across the village that the Buddha was visiting. Curious villagers gathered to hear his teachings. Nanda, reluctant at first, decided to join the crowd. He thought, "Perhaps I'll hear something that makes me feel better about my choices." When Nanda arrived, the Buddha was narrating a story to the assembly. The tale of the sleeping deer. In a dense forest, the Buddha began, there lived a deer who was known for his grace and agility. However, he was also lazy. Each day, instead of searching for food or remaining vigilant against predators, he would lie under a tree, basking in the sunlight. One afternoon, while the deer was asleep, a tiger crept silently through the bushes. The tiger pounced, and the lazy deer, having neglected to keep watch, became the tiger's meal. The Buddha paused and then added, "The deer had all the potential to live a long and fulfilling life, but his laziness led him to an early and unfortunate end." Similarly, those who are lazy in their lives allow opportunities to slip away, inviting suffering instead of growth. The crowd nodded in agreement, but Nanda was not convinced. He muttered under his breath, "I am not a deer. My life is different." Buddha's challenge. The Buddha, sensing Nanda's resistance, smiled and addressed him directly. "Young man, why do you seem dissatisfied with my words?" Nanda hesitated but then spoke boldly, "Lord Buddha, life is short. Why must we exhaust ourselves with endless work? Surely there is merit in simply enjoying the moment." The Buddha replied, "Come with me tomorrow at dawn, and I shall show you the answer." The lesson of the river. The next morning, Nanda begrudgingly followed the Buddha to the bank of a wide river. The Buddha handed him a basket with holes and said, "Fill this basket with water from the river." Confused but unwilling to disobey, Nanda dipped the basket into the water, only to see it drain out immediately. He tried again and again, growing increasingly frustrated. After hours of effort, Nanda finally exclaimed, "This is pointless. The basket cannot hold water, no matter how hard I try." The Buddha smiled and said, "Just as this basket cannot hold water, your life cannot hold joy if it is filled with idleness. True happiness comes from effort, purpose, and discipline. Without these, life will slip away from you, leaving you empty." Nanda was struck by the wisdom of the analogy. The Buddha continued, "Do not mistake fleeting pleasures for true fulfillment. Laziness robs you of your potential, just as the tiger robbed the deer of its life. The joy you seek lies in meaningful work and mindful action." The transformation. From that day forward, Nanda changed his ways. He began to tend to his fields, care for his cattle, and rebuild his home. Though the work was tiring, he felt a newfound sense of pride and purpose. His fields flourished, and his efforts brought him contentment. Years later, when the Buddha returned to the village, Nanda approached him with gratitude. "Lord Buddha, your wisdom saved me. I now understand that effort is the path to true happiness." The Buddha smiled and said, "Remember, Nanda, laziness is like a shadow. It follows you until you shine the light of effort upon it. With discipline and mindfulness, you can achieve anything." Moral of the story. This story reminds us that laziness is a thief that robs us of opportunities and fulfillment. By embracing effort and purposeful action, we can unlock our potential and live a life of true joy and accomplishment. As the Buddha taught, to live fully, one must walk the path of mindful effort.